Well, hello everyone, welcome to yet another December on Model Kit Stuff. Yes, the 5th of December, and they get better every year. I am really looking forward to this month. It's a really busy month for me, a lot of hard work, but I really enjoy the content that I end up putting out because so much of it comes from you guys. It is the highlight of my year. Anyway, let's talk about that and so many other things. What a busy table talk we've got this week. Run new titles. Yes, a big warm welcome to all of you subscribers, members. I don't care who you are, it's really nice to see you. Well, it's not fair to say I don't care, I do care. But yeah, more new members this week. Thank you so much. Really, I get a real nice, comfy, warm feeling that we've got members, and we've had people join, and when they join, they don't know really what they're getting into, and then some of them join and that's it, and they're just seeing the members' content and they're just supporting the channel, and that's hugely appreciated. They're going that extra mile from the subscribers, but then there's others that join and come and get involved in the social group, and it's such a nice place to be. So a big warm welcome to all of you. Like I say, we have an absolute packed table talk for you this week, partly because I put out quite a bit of content. You've had more than a video a day in the last week. What's all that about? And I got loads of stuff to talk about, and then we're gonna talk about our theme of the week, which very much has been driven by you guys, again, the subscribers and the members, particularly, but more on that later. So if you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome. There's loads of stuff on here, but my first question to all of you is, what do you think of the new logo? Yeah, I've been meaning to do it for ages. The reason is partly I never really had a logo, and we're 5 years in, so what have I been playing at? Originally we had the model kit stuff with a red line in the middle, and that purely was an image I was able to create in my photo editing suite at the time, which was the free one that you get with Apple products, and that ended up being a screen save that was then sort of used, and it got used on the first merchandise we did and things. And then, it sort of stuck for a long time. And then I had a need to change it so that I could do better thumbnails. Because originally the thumbnails were actually generated by YouTube as a still from the video. And they didn't tell people what the video was about. So you got less people clicking it. So there was a need then to change to the model kit stuff in a line so that could be on the thumbnail, but you could still put some wording and an image on and so on and so forth and tell people what it was. And that's when we changed to the sort of black and red in line. We'd always done it was actually white and red, if you remember, right at the start 5 years ago. Model kit was white, because it was a black background. So we still do model kit in white sometimes if it's a dark background that it needs to be on. But I've been meaning to sort of create a logo out of it, and I wanted to keep it sort of more of an evolution than anything silly. And I wanted it to sort of tell its own story. What's this about? So we've got a tank, an aeroplane and a ship. There you go. So model kit stuff, and we cover those 3 bases plus more. You know, there's always more. You can't fit it all in. So yeah, I mean, I had been thinking about the red line with like a line doing the silhouette. So you got a line, the red line come through, and it sort of go around and do the tank shape, then the plane shape. But I couldn't make it work and make it obviously look like what it was. So I've ended up with silhouettes. So I'm quite happy with it. And as you'll notice, if I've remembered to do it, if it's not there, you know I didn't remember. I'm also going to be using it as a watermark. So till I get in the habit, there might be 1 or 2 videos we forget. There's certainly going to be some videos you're going to see after this video that won't have the watermark because they've already been filmed and edited. But most things you'll see from now on will have a watermark. Just makes us look a little bit more professional and goes back to what I was saying about quality over quantity. Although you could argue that we've done quite a bit of quantity this week. So yeah, a new logo, and that then gives me a slightly tweaked intro and outro. I haven't been happy with the outro for a while, so you have to have something at the end of the video that allows the overlay of end screen stuff. So the links to videos and things that play at the end of the video, that gets automatically put on. There's a predetermined length of time that YouTube put on it. I leave an outro of about 28 seconds. And that seems to be long enough to cover it. So at the end you get the little round link, which is actually a link to my page. If you want to go straight to my page, you can click on that. There's a link that I select, which is a playlist that I feel is relevant. So on Table Talk, at the end, you'll usually get the Friday build series will be in there. So if you missed the Friday build, you can go straight to it from the end screen. And then there is another one that is generated by YouTube's AI, which is best fit for you as a viewer. How good the AI is, I don't know, but in theory, all of you get a different video in that box. And now, as you'll see at the end of the video, you'll get the logo in the bottom corner. So I've not changed the music because I like the music, and what you perhaps don't realise is it is really difficult to find a piece of music that everyone wouldn't find offensive, and B, a piece of music that works with images. So the intro is trying to tell you, the viewer, everything that the channel does. So if you've never seen the channel before, within the first couple of minutes of watching the video, you know all about what the channel does, regardless of what video you're watching. That's the whole purpose of it. And that means swapping screens. So it's dump, and you need a piece of music that works with that. And actually, I time the changing of those screenshots, those little sections of video, with the beat of the music. So you've got to have something that's got a steady beat. So it's been really difficult to find something I was happy with. And we've used different pieces of music to play in for a while. And this is the first piece of music that I've had that I've really sort of thought, actually, this works. In terms of, it works with the visuals. And we get that nice little pause where the model kit stuff goes up. And it took a long time to get that to work. That was in editing for a long time before I first used it. So I haven't changed it too much because I was happy with the colours and all that, but I wasn't really happy with the multicoloured model kit thing. It was a bit of a fudge through indecision. I'm much happier with it now. So I don't really intend to change things much from what we've got. The only thing we might do is add to it for particular builds. So like the Lady Eleanor has a little page that pops up and tells you, you know, what we're building, whose kit it is, what aftermarket we're using, so on and so forth. So that's the stock intro. We've got a stock outro now, which is better than the Doctor Who thing that I had going on. I think it's a little bit more subtle, a bit more sophisticated, possibly a bit more professional, although, you know, we can't push professionalism too much. So yeah, that was, you know, I'm interested in your thoughts if you want to share them. There's bound to be someone who says, well, I don't mind the visuals, but I don't like the music. Certainly a couple of members have said they're not keen on the music. One said it's growing on me or something, but, you know, the other one said it grates on me and I have to switch it off. I'm sorry, I like the music. It's sustain. So there you go. I think that if you think about how we've progressed over 5 years, I've tried all sorts of things. And we've very much gone from the 1920s news reporting style right at the start to a much more relaxed and professional feel. We've gone to 4K. We've gone. We've thought about quality of program. We've thought about layout of program. First impressions. You know, we've now evolved it, so there's a definite way of looking at the kit, thinking about the kit, measuring the kit in terms of how good and how bad it is. And I think most people like it. It does mean I do longer videos. If you want a 20-minute, here's the box, here's the sprues, learn nothing about it, then, you know, fill your boots. There's tons of them out there. I will do it in depth, and you can fast forward the bits you don't want to see. Then, you know, everyone's happy. So, it's been one of those weeks where when you're busy and there's lots of stuff coming out, you get lots of comments. You inevitably get some new people coming along and commenting, and that's great to see. With that, you get a bit of negativity, not least because of one of my first impressions this week. We will come back to that because it's going to be the theme that we talk about at the back end of the video, because I'm a little bit unhappy with I almost want to say modelers' behaviours, but actually I don't mean that. I just think there's a dark cloud over modelling right now, and I'm gonna do what I can to lift it. Right, with all that said, let's get on and talk about what happened last week, because there was tons of it. So firstly, we put an extra video out. This bad boy, which I picked up for the princely sum of £70 from Airfix, because I had hobby points and I had discount and as in membership discount, and I can't remember what ours, but the bill ended up at 70 quid shipped, which I think is a bargain. We're not going to talk about this now though. We're going to talk about it at the back end because it's part of the theme, and I know people are expecting me to talk about it. Because I said last week that we would. So we're going to skip past that and we're going to jump to Sunday. Sunday, General Lee 3. I nearly put it in Monday, and then I thought, no, I want to keep Monday to the tips, tricks and things. So Monday we put the General Lee Part 3 out for the members. It's one of those videos where there's lots of sort of trudge. Most of the video is me trying to get the grill to fit. Honestly, what a dog of a kit. But I'm determined we'll come out with something that I would be proud to put on my display case. I am not backing down from that model. It will not win. I will overcome. That is something I'm positive on. So yeah, the General Lee progressing. I haven't done anything on it for a few weeks, but I've got time left in the Wheelie Things group build, not as much as I'd like, but I've got Christmas coming up, so we've got some extra time for modelling. It'll all be good. We'll talk about that if I remember shortly. But yeah, so that went out for some members. That's the members who are midshipmen that level. You're getting that. That's special just for you. Then what do we do on Monday? Tying a Bailey pin, you know, or belaying pin. It does get, I'm never quite sure which one it is, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. You all know what I mean. It's the wooden peg that in 50s pirate movies like The Buccaneer gets pulled out to bop people on the head with, but it's actually really a removable peg for tying various different ropes, cordage and what have you on a ship. And what I was showing you was not the way, but my way. Now, it's quite probable that different navies, Spanish, French, Dutch, what have you, had a different regimen of how to do it. So it's very much sort of the British way. And it's quite possible that there are different ways of doing it at different periods in time. None of that I'm sure of. I can't find any evidence to ever say it's been different. So what I showed you is what I understand is typically correct. So winding it anti-clockwise, creating the loop that hangs on the peg. And then I showed you a little trick. So if you missed it and you build period ships, plastic or wood, it's a nice little thing to do. You could actually make a jig, and this is what I will end up showing you on Grecian. We'll make a little jig where you can make these little rope coils in advance, glue them all up, and then you just plop them on and dress your model. So yeah, I think that's 7 minutes of video, but I thought was quite informative. So I hope you enjoyed that. So that was Monday. Tuesday we put a little video out announcing that the showcase was open for receiving photographs. Now let me be clear, that is the end of year showcase where you show off your proudest build of 2025. That's how we've always done it. The showcase is your best model build, one model as a rule. I've slightly watered down the rules this year and said 4 pictures, which is up. It used to be 3. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 last year. Might have been 4, but it used to originally be 3. I've said 4 pictures, and it can be ideally the different angles of the same model so we can get a full appreciation of it. But I have said you can send me 4 different models. What I'd say is the more models you put in, the less well we're going to see them. So your ideal is your favourite model build of the year, take 4 pictures of it. That is not the Wheelie Things group build, and it is not the Floaty Things group build. They will be announced separately at different times, okay? So that's because the Floaty Things is still sort of ongoing, so, and it has different rules. If you're unsure, go back to the previous weekend where we released a little video in the group builds about the rules around those. So there will be more instructions. I think, as I'm looking at it, I think the Floaty Things pictures will open on the 16th of December. So we're not quite ready for those yet. So please just send your showcase pictures. Otherwise, I've got to spend extra time trying to sort them into the right folders and stuff. So, you know, help me out. Just send your showcase pictures. So with Floaty Things, you can send as many models as you like. With the showcase, ideally, you're choosing your best build, your favourite build, the one that you're either the proudest of or enjoyed the most, or for whatever the reason was. Yeah, so there you go. That is open. So you send me an email, modelkitstuff@gmail.com, and I'll start editing the video soon. Right, so that was Tuesday. Wednesday, today, Type 42, as of the Falklands War, is it Coventry? Yeah, what a lovely, lovely model that was. First time I've reviewed that brand, as I explained, relatively new Chinese company. They're doing a very, very good job of it. I haven't checked dimensions and things, but it looked and felt okay. I thought they'd done a nice job of it. nice level of detail and some nice thoughts with the clear plastic bridge and what have you. And the 3D printed radar was a real nice thing. You know, they've not done 3D printing as a gimmick. There's not tons of it in there needlessly. They've just done what needed to be done, and the rest of it is plastic and done to a really good level of finesse. So yeah, I really enjoyed reviewing that kit. Thursday was the boat show, just a little video. I mean, it gave you the essence. It was another one where we ummed and ahed about music for quite some time. I showed it to my daughters and said, look, does this feel right? And they both said no. So the music got changed. I'm not going to tell you what was on there to start with. Let's just say I was still not really happy, but I just decided I needed to get over myself and get it out. It's like I've been writing a strategy document for the last 2 weeks at work, and every time I look at it, I want to change it all and do it slightly differently. It will never be finished. It's like the Forth Bridge. It will never be finished. You constantly want to tweak something. So at some point you've got to go, that'll do. And inevitably, when you present these things to the director or whatever, they're not that fussed. They're listening for one little thing, and then they'll ask a question on that, and then that'll be it. You know, they're not really that fussed about the minutiae of detail that I've been fussing about. Okay, then Friday, we could have had Eagle 5. I don't know yet, not been edited yet. We could have had Lady Eleanor. All depends on whether I think there's enough material from the Eagle. We'll talk about that in a minute. So either way, both of those models are progressing quite nicely. I had a really nice session with the Eagle. We'll talk about that in a sec. But so I haven't edited, so I don't know which way to go. My sneaking suspicion is there wasn't enough for the Eagle, so Eagle might be pushed out till next week when I've got a chance to take stuff off my camera and load it in. And that was the week, other than a couple of shorts. And one of those shorts was around the Airfix kit. So that's twice I've mentioned it, and we're still not going to talk about it. Right, so what was on the bench last week? Well, we were in space last week. So this weekend we were working on the Eagle, and I had on Sunday morning, I had a 5-hour very intimate session with my new Aventus airbrush, which I enjoyed immensely. I spent 5 hours putting white paint, actually off-white paint, on the Eagle. And I managed, when I finished and I tidied up and I was really happy with it, I managed to find a part that I'd only half painted. So I've got to go back and finish that off. So, why did it take 5 hours? Well, I was painting with a 0.2 needle, which, when you consider the size of the model, it's roughly 1/48 scale, seems a bit ludicrous. Until I tell you that I've painted every single panel individually. So what we've done is the low-lying areas were painted first, and then in each individual panel was painted, because what I was trying to get was this sort of used worn effect. I think you can see it probably better on this. Let's get you some light. It's not coming up too well on camera. But I've painted all the panels basically individually, one at a time. And the idea was that some of them, I've painted them because it was all on black primer, as you recall. Some of them I've painted and we've started in the middle. And so it's got more white paint in the middle. And then as you get to the edge, it gets sort of a pale grey blue colour because of the black primer. So you can see that very clearly on the top of this one. You might be able to see it better than I can, especially if you've got this on the big screen. And then on other panels, we've done it the other way around, and we've started on the outside, made the outside edge whiter, and it go a bit more grayer in the middle. I wanted to show individual panels. I wanted to give you this feeling of wear, of use. And that's why we did the black primer in the first place. So I could have just sprayed it all uniformly white with a number 5 or number 7 needle and just get it done, and that might have taken me an hour perhaps. But it was worth the effort to do it right. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it. So other than the painting the white, I have painted the interior of the cockpit as well, although that's not finished. So the next thing is masking off and painting the black elements on here, and then we've got to make the sensors metallic. But yeah, she looks decidedly like an eagle. So I've been really happy with how that came together, and I've done a little video which will come out as Modeller's Health. Is it Modeller's Health 3 or 4? I can't remember now. So Sunday was all about that. I did a bit of filming on Sunday, and that's something that's going to go into our topic later on. So that's what was on the bench. So we've done eagle all week. We didn't get as far as I wanted, but we've done a good job of the painting, and that made me really happy. So yeah, good place to be. What's coming up this week on the bench? Well, what I've decided to do is park the General Lee and try and get the Lady Eleanor finished. So I'm back on Lady Eleanor in the week ahead. I think this weekend I can really rack into it. So that's the plan. So I've got weathering to do. So we'll be doing weathering on Saturday, and then hopefully on Sunday we'll be chucking all the deck bits on, which are all made up, masts are done and all of that sort of stuff. Chuck all of those on. So if I could walk away at the end of Sunday with everything on, masts in and what have you, and just the rigging left to do, finish painting the figures, make the nets, and then do the sails, I'll be happy. Or if the weather's nice this weekend, I might prioritise staying in the sails. So I just don't know. We'll see. But that's what we'll be working on through the week, is the Lady Eleanor. I'd like to try and get her finished before the new year. It's possible. It's definitely not impossible. Yeah, but we will see. Right then, so stash ads. That's our next thing. And as you can see, we have one. I've never had this kit before. It's a vintage classic from Airfix. Many of you may have built it. It's actually quite a nice kit when you look at it on the inside. So why have I bought this? Especially when, you know, I've already got quite a few plastic ship kits, let's be honest. When I cleared out my stash and sold a lot of it, we didn't touch the ships, and yet I've added another one. Well, I have the S-boat. And the S-boat, while it's quite a nice pleasure to build, I've actually built it unpainted. It's in my attic, built up unpainted. You know, I built it as a kid, and then it was revisited as an adult, just for sort of, I was having a bit of a nostalgia trip. I did the Ark Royal, and I did my first ever model kit, which was the 1975 New Tool 172 Polish Spitfire. Did that, and you know, did all sorts. I did the Dennis fire engine. I did all sorts of nostalgia stuff, and it's all sort of up in the attic. This I've never done, and when I looked at the pictures of it, it looked really good. But the truth of the matter is, I was buying something that I needed from Airfix, and I really don't like paying for shipping. Especially when the shipping was going to cost me almost half the price of the goods. So we spent 4 times that amount to avoid spending the small amount of shipping. I know, mental innit, but you know, nobody ever said it had to be logical. What was I buying? I was buying these. This is the additional masking set, although they just call it masking set. You do get masks with the kit. What you get with this though is you get some wheel masks, and you get the interior of the cockpit, and they're made by Cartograph, which is really interesting. we'll be coming back to that. So that's why I've ended up with that. I had a quick look in. It looks like it's quite a nice build. It shouldn't take too long to do. Could be a lot of fun. Could be a floaty thing for next year. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, it's a skill level 3, believe it or not. And I have had a quick look in it. I've not opened the bag because we need to do a first impressions and what have you. But it's got quite a detailed deck. I think it probably came out after the S-boat, and I'm hoping it's more accurate because the S-boat, I mean, it looks lovely, but the hull shape is completely wrong. The deck layout is off. It has lots of issues, but it does look nice. I'm guessing there's some issues with that, but it will look nice. And it's got some figures. It's 1/72 scale, so it's big enough to have a, if you really want to detail it, you could, or if you just want to sit back and smack something together just for the hell of it, I think that would fit the bill as well. So yeah, and with it being the same scale as a certain Flower class Corvette, it would look very nice in a massive seascape, wouldn't it? Yeah, we've talked about seascapes a couple of times recently. In fact, 3 distinct different seascapes we've talked about this year. There's a factoid for you. Right, so that was a stash ad. I've also got a couple of new things to review. So Gaahleri have sent me air clamp. Now I've already got an air clamp. I purchased an air clamp. I use it. It's really, really good actually. And I'll talk you through why I find it so good. But it's basically a rack for storing up to 4 airbrushes, including siphon airbrushes and your pistol grip ones, very securely, and it bolts to the desk. They also sent me this, which is the Air Hub Pro. So the actual frame, let's see if there's an image, the actual frame, the rack that has the 4 airbrushes on is exactly the same. But let me show you this on the bottom. This is the clever stuff. And if, like me, you sometimes have multiple paints wanting to do in one session, this is going to allow you to do it because this is the base, right? So as you can see, this isn't any ordinary base. It's quite heavy. It's machined aluminium block is what it is. But what you've got is one airline goes in to the base, and then from there you can have up to 4 airlines coming out of this end of the base. So airline in, airline out, attaches to your airbrush. So you can have 4 airbrushes mounted on the base and taking air through the one airline. Now I've got twin airlines on my compressor, so I could, you know, I could have 2 of these and have 8 airbrushes with airlines if I wanted. Bit mental, but it's also got a little inline Mac built into the base. I can control airflow up the hose. How cool is that? So you have to have a minimum of 1 air hose attached to it, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think this is genius. I mean, if like a lot of people, you've got a designated painting area, what's handy about the air clamp is you can clamp it down and use it as just airbrush storage. You don't have to use it for when you're airbrushing, but you can obviously clamp it to where you are while you're airbrushing. The genius of this, because it's not clamped and it's just a weighted base, you can move it around, so you can put it next to you. If you know that, especially if you're like a figure painter or you're doing a diorama or something, and you know you're going to be doing like 4 different colours, multiple colours, you can have them all lined up and you can switch between them whilst you're painting. You can do a bit of green, let that dry, do a bit of blue, let that dry, go back to the green and extend it. You can whap a bit of white in it and line it up, mix it in the cup, away you go. It's going to really speed you up. Now for professional airbrush artists who do all sorts of things, advertising and that sort of stuff, massively, massively helpful. For us as modelers, I think generally most modelers will probably only have one paint on at a time, but being able to have multiple colours can be really, really helpful. And if you're honing your skills and getting to the point where you feel confident that you can airbrush 135 figures freehand, and I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. I keep trying. I'm never showing you, because I won't show you till I'm ready and say, actually, I can do this. Even if it's just putting down the bulk colours and a bit of shading and stuff, then it's really handy, because you can have the different uniform elements in the different brushes. So imagine you could have you can paint the undercarriage of your aircraft in, I don't know, pale sky blue, duck egg blue, or whatever it's called, and then in the other one you can have the dark grey and do the little mottled camouflage pattern on the top of your aeroplane, and have them both ready to go and not have to wash the airbrush out and swap colour and so on and so forth. You can have them there ready to go and just pick it up and go. So yeah, it could be really helpful. It's not going to be for everyone. You can just use it as a stand, and have your airbrushes connected to it and use it as your airbrush feed. It's another way of controlling your air. I mean, I've found with the new airbrush, the new Aventus, that about 17 is about right in terms of air pressure, which is a little higher than I'd normally have. I usually say between 15 and 20, and I tend to be closer to the 15, depending on what you're doing, obviously. I crank it up a bit for primer. But what this means is that I can have it at the higher end, at the 20, and depending on what I'm doing, I can drop it down. Depending, you know, if I want nice fuzzy edges, I can increase it up. If I want, drop it down. If I want really sharp edges, I can up the pressure a bit. So you can have a play with it from the base without having to, in my case, get on my hands and knees under the desk and get to my compressor. So we'll be doing a little review of those soon. So watch out for those. I'll do them both in the same video. But I am using them. I've got my four airbrushes. I've actually got enough airbrushes. This is really bad, but I could set both of those airbrushes up, which means I could do 12 airbrushes, and I've got enough airbrushes to populate that. Okay, let's talk about what's coming up next week. So next week, Monday, we have a tool review, a tool I picked up at Telford. You might find it quite interesting, only if you're into modelling. Then Wednesday, we've got an aircraft first impressions. This is an aircraft that was sent to me that I filmed many months ago and haven't got around to releasing. And then Friday will either be Lady Eleanor, if we didn't have it this week, or Eagle, if we didn't have it this week. So I don't really know. So a bit of a quieter week. Right. Think it's time we talked about positivity. So I want to bring some things together. So let me just clear the decks, and then we're going to have a proper grown-up chat. Right then. So a number of things have happened this week, over the last 2 weeks, which have come together and has highlighted to me an issue that I think has been generally growing over the course of 2025. I think it's been generally growing for a little while within the modelling hobby for various reasons. But I've noticed more of it in 2025 than ever before. And I think some people mistakenly think that I'm part of this movement. And what I'm talking about is negativity. And it's really starting to bother me. So, what do I mean by negativity? There seems to be a general increase in people looking to and wanting to be negative about models, about content creators, about other people's builds, about other people's points of view. It seems to be building, and it's always been there. I left Facebook years ago, most modelling forums years ago, because of the number of people that you put a post on and someone would go, oh, you've not done this right, and why would you do that, and haven't you done that, and you just get lost. This is my hobby. I was having some fun, and then I shared it, and then you tore it down. And it's a bit like watching the news, or what we call in my family the bad news, because it is. They don't talk about the good news. They don't talk, X many people died in an accident on the motorway. They talk, they don't talk about today, 15 million people travelled on the motorway and they all survived. It's the bad news that they get. That's the bit that they think we're interested in. And I think strangely, as humans, we are sort of interested in the bad news. I remember many, many years ago, and it's a tangent, but it's connected. Many years ago, me and my brother sat down, Christmas Day. It was the first Christmas after my mum had passed away and my dad had remarried. So a few years after my mum had passed away. And we both sat down Christmas Day and we put EastEnders on and we're eating our Christmas dinner and EastEnders is on and everyone's crying, everyone's miserable, someone gets shot and killed. It's Christmas Day. I don't want that. I've never watched EastEnders since, by the way. I just thought, I don't need this negativity in my life. It drags you down and it gets very easy to affect your mental health. Now, I'm a mental health first aider at the place where I work. And what that means is that if someone is thinking they're struggling with stress or mental health or just need some advice, they can come to me, they can talk to me, and I can point them in the right direction to perhaps get some support. I'm not qualified to counsel people or anything like that. But both of my daughters have come a cropper of mental health issues. It's very difficult to be a young teenager. We've all been there. We all know how challenging it is, particularly the age of 12 to 13, when you've got the pressure of options coming and you're starting to find out who you are and realise you don't fit in with the friends that you had at primary school and that you're actually having to make decisions for yourself and there's a lot going on. And sometimes that can take you to a dark place. And both of my kids have had that. And it doesn't help that they're exposed to social media with loads and loads and loads of negativity. So I'm going to give you an example of the negativity. And unfortunately, it's to do with this absolutely stunning kit from Airfix. So you'll remember earlier this year, Airfix brought out another, what I anticipated to be a stunning kit. I had seen it at Bolton, made up, and it looked stunning. And I have to say, I looked at the same kit again at Telford, and it still looked stunning. I'd missed one or two of the simplifications looking at the model, but the model was well built and it was well finished, and it had none of the issues that I had when I bought it. And I think because some people had started to slate this when it first came out. I say some because it wasn't just one, it was several. And then, because I'd absolutely ripped the stalwart apart, and quite rightly so, and fairly, I'd said what I'd seen, I think people expected me to jump on the bandwagon with this. And certainly people sort of said that. I've had some comments like, have you gone to the dark side and become an Airfix lover? Right, sorry, comment removed, you're blocked. I had someone coming on and go, oh, what about all the warped sprues? So what about warped sprues? I don't care about warped sprues. The parts weren't warped. That's the bit I'm building. I chuck the sprue away. Why am I in the least bit interested about warped sprues? Yes, there's warped sprues in there. Yes, I highlighted it. Yes, I talked about it. I didn't make a big deal about it. because it's not a big deal, you know. There was a very well-respected channel that I don't watch very often, but I did watch because someone had been talking about it. Very well-respected, one of the largest modelling channels on YouTube, and they were saying that the mask set that come in here was going to be rubbish, and don't use it, and wait for aftermarket and go and buy aftermarket. And it really infuriated me, because he was saying that based on some Airfix masks that he got in a different kit that had had a problem. And he wasn't giving Airfix the benefit of the doubt that they may have sorted that problem for this release. So that's why I did the test in my first impressions of this. And I've got to tell you, a week later, they're still stuck on. I can hold that sprue by this bit of tape. It is not coming off. It's on a 90 degrees angle. It has not come adrift unless I peel it off, and then I can put it back on and it stays there. There is nothing wrong with the Airfix masks, and yet this very well respected person tells everybody not to use them. They're likely to be a pile of junk, and he does that without testing it, without verifying what he's saying, and without confirming that what he's saying is actually a fact. Just being negative so that he can be popular. I absolutely lose all respect for someone that does that. There are people reviewing this kit and saying how amazing it is, who 5 years ago didn't have a nice word to say about Airfix. They badmouth them all the time. I'm not mentioning channel names, so don't ask me who I mean, but there are channels out there, and I have watched their videos now, and the sun is absolutely shining in the world of Airfix, you know, and they're getting a free t-shirt here and in this case a free kit, which I've not known Airfix do before, you know. And you know, from Airfix's point of view, if you've got someone who does nothing but badmouth you, and you start giving them some stuff and that pays them off and they now start talking good stuff about you, yeah, all good from an Airfix point of view. But it does make you wonder about those channels. You know, if they're not honest about this, and they'll say whatever they need to say and sell their grandma for a set of flipping paint masks from a company, then, you know, what does that say about how reliable they are with the rest of what they do? So I think people were expecting me to hone in and criticise, and there was some criticisms of this kit. Mainly the fact that the box is too small for the contents, and that they put too much packaging inside, and so everything's got crushed and my decals have got damaged. So I have contacted Airfix and said I would like replacement decals, please. They haven't responded yet. It's been three days, but in fairness, I sent that email out on a Sunday, and they say takes up to 5 days because they're very busy. So read into that what it's a standard comment, but the point is this: I am factual about my first impressions. What I say is what I see. You see it with me. I am not going to say something is good or bad just for clickbait. I'm not going to do it. I don't need clickbait. I don't care how many people watch my videos. My videos will be honest, and I will maintain my integrity. So when I do an airbrush review and say this is brilliant, I'm absolutely loving it, then I mean that. It is brilliant and I'm absolutely loving it. It's my point of view. Somebody else might say, oh no, it's rubbish. I mean, somebody last week said I would buy such and such a brand over that pile of scrap every day. Then I watched another airbrushing channel, and this guy is a professional airbrusher. It's his day job. He professionally is an airbrush artist, and he did a review of the Mobius 3 and said it was one of the finest airbrushes he'd ever used, that it was punching above its weight, that it wasn't perfect, it had one or two issues. You know, he was talking about it, so that's maybe slightly heavy, but he was saying for the money, it's one of the best airbrushes he's ever used, and better than a lot of big hitters that are more expensive. So believe me, if I say something's good, it's good. I'm not saying it for effect. I don't need freebies. I don't need free airbrushes from Gaahleri. You know, if they send me an airbrush to review and it's rubbish, I will say it's rubbish. I don't care. I really, really don't care. They're not buying me off by sending me free stuff. I will be honest with you. That is why the Stolly kit, the Stalwart, was reviewed and I ripped it apart and said it wasn't good enough and Airfix need to sort themselves out. And the reason why I said this might be the best 109 kit ever is because I think it might be the best 109 kit ever. It's just a fact. What I want us all to focus on is being more positive. You know, it is very easy to be negative and it's very easy to fall into this negative way of thinking. And there was some chat with my members in the social group and they were, they were talking about how they were unsubscribing from another channel that's quite close to me because they were fed up with the negative approach that this YouTuber has. And, you know, they're talking about clickbait and they were talking about, you know, just being really needlessly negative. And I have to agree. You've got to be honest. There are people out there who are being dishonest so that they can get freebies. And, you know, that appalls me. It really, really does. Because I don't want to watch somebody's review and have them say, yeah, it's brilliant, and then buy it and then be disappointed and find out actually it's junk and they were just selling me a lie so that they could get more free products. Yeah? And you see that going on YouTube, not just in the modelling hobby, but you see it generally. I've had companies approach me wanting me to promote heat pumps and VPNs on my channel. Not going to do it. Why would I do that? It's not related to the hobby. It's junk. And then I had Tyrrell Models. I agreed with them a 10% discount. They have never spoken to me since. They have never promoted it. They have never done anything with it. I don't even know if it still works, to be honest. I must go in and try it. But, you know, it was just, yeah, I'll do it. And they paid lip service to it. And that really annoyed me as well. So I think 2026 has to be a big reset. For me, 2025 has been quite a negative year. My daughter's not been well. That's topped off my Paula not being well with her hip. And everybody's just sort of got this dark cloud above them at the moment. And I'm so fed up of it. So next year is going to be a very positive year. It's going to be positive. I'm going to build things that I want to build, that I'm going to enjoy building. I'm not saying that I've not done that, but, you know, I'm feeling a bit negative about the fact that the Shan horse is out there not moving on. So, yeah, we will be prioritising ourselves. And that's important from a mental health point of view. This hobby is good for your mental health, as long as you're positive about it. So, you know, I will continue to block the negativity. This is a family-friendly channel. We will keep it that way. I will not be swearing. Don't need to swear. I'm eloquent enough to talk without swearing. And that means I'm comfortable that, you know, youngsters could watch this channel, no problem. And that, I think, is how it should be. So I will carry on doing what I'm doing and we will carry on keeping it positive. That doesn't mean I can't criticise things or won't criticise things. Of course I will. But you can do it in a constructive way and you can do it in a positive way. The Stolly is probably the time I've been most frustrated and most disappointed, and quite rightly so. I've now got 2 of their kits that they've sent me. Neither of them are fit for purpose. So yeah, complete low light of the year. This, one of the highlights of the year. So I'm not going to say otherwise. I'm not going to spend half an hour slagging off the fact that we've got warped sprues. Yeah, ideally you don't want warped sprues. Yeah, ideally I don't want damaged decals. But the decals will get replaced and the warped sprues aren't affecting anything. So actually, what we're fussing about? Yes, it's not perfect. There's always something you could get better. And in this case, it's been packaging that's not been perfect. But in the main, the kit's lovely. And I've got no problems at all with the paint masks, and I will be using them. And and all the negativity can go away, right? I've just had enough of it, and those channels that continue to be negative, I don't watch, because I don't need it. There's enough going on in the world to make you feel less positive than you'd want to, without adding to it by other people spreading their negative views on things. So what I'd say to you is, don't ignore your mental health and how social media can affect it, and how other people's views can affect it. What's important is your view and the enjoyment you get out of life and your hobby, and that should be your focus. Your family, your hobby, and what brings you joy. And I have set next year up for joy. One of the things that I have done to ensure I have plenty of joy in 2026 is I've bought 2 tickets to go and see Peter Kay live at the Manchester O2 in August. There is not much more joy that can be had than watching Peter Kay live. Never seen him live before, so it'll be an absolute joy, especially as he's a Chorley lad. So he comes from just round the corner from here. So yeah, I know where he lives. Or at least I know one of the houses he owns. So yeah, next year is all about positivity. And during the course of next year, I will ask you how you are. How are you? No, how are you really? And I will invite you to tell me. Because what I want us to do as a community is be more supportive of each other and less destructive and less showing off our knowledge, you know, and you know, all of this nonsense that we do. You know, I show someone how I do something, and someone else comes in and goes, I do it this way and I do that and I use this tool, and yeah, all good. Do it in a positive way, no problem. That's great. It's great to share the tips. But you do it as a showing off and you're wrong without saying you're wrong. That positive negativity that you can get, and sometimes passively aggressive comments that you can get. It's all negativity, and it all washes away the positivity. So we're going to have a great 2026. I am really looking forward to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to round 2025 off with the real positivity of all your builds. So send me those pictures for the showcase. I want it to be the biggest showcase ever. I want more models from ever. I have 14,000 subscribers. I want every single one of you to show me the model that you're most proud of this year. Let's do a showcase video that's 7 hours long. Honestly, send in your pictures, share the love. We enjoy this hobby. That's why we're all here. That's why you're watching this. It's why I'm making this, because we love the hobby. Okay? Loads of fun stuff coming in 2026. Loads and loads of stuff lined up. I've got some things that are planned and some things I'm deliberately leaving unplanned so I can have the joy of making the decision. There's nothing better than standing in front of your stash and going, which one of you am I about to make? And I'm deliberately not making some decisions so I can do that. Scharnhorst we're going to finish next year, and I'm looking forward to it. You can hear the excitement because I want to get it done, which will prove popular because a lot of people were enjoying that build. And even Chris Watton said to me, said I keep looking to see when the next Scharnhorst video is coming out. He's got the kit, you see. But there you go. I think my tea's arriving, so I'm going to switch this off. Until I see you next week, you enjoy your modelling and keep positive. Bye for now.